So you've got a podcast and you want to turn your listens into views. Making a video podcast allows you to engage with a much bigger audience than on podcast platforms alone. You can turn your shows into content that can be posted on social media and video platforms, generating their own engagement while also pointing people back to the podcast itself. It's a no-brainer. And if you own a smartphone, it's easier than you think. The first thing you need to make a video podcast with your smartphone is a camera app. While every smartphone has their own native camera app, our free Road Capture app allows you to unlock some pretty unique features designed for video podcasting. The most notable feature is dual camera mode, allowing you to use both the forward-facing and selfie cameras of the phone at the exact same time, in either a split screen or a picture-in-picture configuration. This is ideal for podcasts where there are two hosts or a host and a guest, and you want to capture them both on the one device. All you need to do is position the phone on a tripod or stand in between the two people speaking, and you're ready to shoot. If you want to have options when editing your video podcast, then you'll need to think about the types of camera angles you might want. For a solo podcast, a single camera angle will work just fine, but you might want to make it a wide shot so that you have the option to crop in on your host to add some dynamics and to help mask any edits you might need to make. If you have more than one host or featured guest on your podcast, then it's a good idea to have multiple camera angles. This is to make sure that you have the coverage of everyone in the podcast, and so that you can follow the conversation in the edit by switching camera angles based on who's talking. A typical set of angles might be a wide shot to capture everyone at once, and then single medium shots of each of the hosts or guests. For more than two hosts or guests, you could set up a shot for each side of the table. For example, capturing the hosts together in one shot and the guests together in the other. Either way, for each camera angle you might want to add, you'll need to have another smartphone handy to capture it. Or you could get creative with our Road Capture app, taking advantage of the dual camera mode to cover all angles you need. Before pressing the record button on your video podcast, there are a few things you need to consider in order to capture the best quality video you can with your smartphone. The first thing to think about is what is in your frame, so essentially your set. You may have already put some thought into this when you designed and styled your recording space, but consider what it will look like through each of your camera angles and make adjustments to make it look the best it possibly can be. Depth and color add interest to your frame, but be careful not to add anything that might distract from the hosts or guests in your podcast. Lighting is the next consideration, and while it's a subject that deserves a video all to itself, trust me, it's a science, there are some basics you can apply to make your video podcast look great. The main thing you'll need to think about is how well lit your hosts and guests are. If the lighting in the room you're recording in is bright enough, you might be able to get away with it. Just make sure your subjects' faces are lit enough on camera from each of the angles. To make your podcast look even better though, you can use a deliberate light source pointed towards your subjects known as a key light. Beyond a key light, you can of course add more lights to eliminate shadows, add depth between your subjects and the background, and even to make your set look more interesting. But this all depends on how far you want to go, and of course, your budget. Another aesthetic to think about when filming a video podcast is wardrobe and makeup. When it comes to your hosts, putting a bit of thought into what they wear can help convey a certain style, whether that's formal or informal, expert or casual. While you can't always control what your guests are going to wear, you can make suggestions depending on the style you're going for. Again, be cautious around overly vibrant colors or distracting patterns. While not always necessary, makeup can even out skin tone and help your hosts or guests look less shiny on camera. It's always handy to have a makeup kit on hand, as touch-ups might be needed throughout a video podcast, particularly if it's a long one. When it comes to camera settings, most smartphones have intuitive camera hardware and software, meaning that you shouldn't have to tweak much to get good quality video. Just make sure that you've chosen a high resolution like 4K so you have an option of cropping in without losing any video quality. The final thing you need to think about is syncing up the good quality audio you're recording with the video captured on the phone. While your phone will record its own audio, which you could use as a guide, using a clapperboard or even just your hands, like this, will give you a clear sync point to use. If your podcast involves remote guests who you would normally dial into your show, there are a couple of ways that you can capture footage of them to include in your video podcast. They could use their own smartphone to record video of themselves while on the call, but make sure they know how it should look, because otherwise it could end up looking like this, and nobody wants that. Alternatively, you can use an online remote video platform like Riverside or Squadcast to be able to see and control the video feed on your end. To do this, you'll both need a computer and a stable internet connection. And that's it, guys. Hopefully this has given you some handy tips to be able to turn your podcast into the next big thing. As always, please leave any thoughts or questions you may have in the comments below, and we'll see you in the podcast charts.